Know what a courtesy tap is, young man? Sounds like this. Slight, it's friendly, just like you're trying to get somebody's attention. I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out. You hear me, miss? You're gonna fucking learn.
Yo, welcome back. Today we're gonna be doing I'm laughing already. Today we're gonna be talking about Unhinged, the road rage thriller. That's the first time I ever heard that genre. I describe this movie as one of those movies that's not supposed to be funny, but it just end up being hilarious. And Russell Crowe's in it. Who doesn't love Russell Crowe? He's in Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Yeah, all that shit. Like I like all that. This one right here just wasn't it. This movie's not really to be taken seriously. If you have some spare time and you're bored and you want to watch a movie, sure, you can watch this. Or if you need some like background noise, sure, maybe. The whole premise of the movie is about a man who's just been beaten down by society so much that he just goes crazy, I guess. He was already on his last legs, but then he gets into a road race incident with this woman and her child, who are our next characters in the story, Kyle and Rachel. See, Kyle and Rachel already have their own issues. They're not really financially stable right now. Rachel just got divorced. Her husband's actually taking the house away from them, so they're not having a really good day either. And also, on the way of taking her son to school, she just got fired actually from her job, so she's having a terrible day. That's the thing about this movie. It seems like everyone is just extremely frustrated and angry all the time. See, the whole reason why he's going after them in the first place is that Rachel actually pulled up behind him when the light was red. It turned green, she honked the horn, went past him, and all of a sudden he took that as the utmost disrespect he ever experienced in his life. It was hella traffic, so she couldn't really go anywhere, so he pulled up beside her and basically demanded some respect from her. But Rachel was not going. She was staying 10 toes the fuck down. 10 toes the fuck down. Yeah, that's basically the premise of the entire movie. He goes on like a manhunt for her throughout the entire fucking city, throughout the rest of the movie. I found this movie to be like incredibly cynical towards just society, I guess. Like, they had a whole montage in the beginning of the movie about how everyone's angry and violent because of social media. Like, they do their best to make you basically hate society in this movie. I also like to mention the things that Russell Crowe's character, only known as the man in this movie, he got away with the most craziest shit. Like, he blew up a house in the beginning of the movie, and throughout the rest of the movie, he's over here running people over, knocking people off the street, killing anybody who gets close to Rachel. He even killed a dude in broad daylight, and nothing happened to him until the end of the movie. Yeah, because throughout this entire movie, this dude has just been an unstoppable force. Like, nothing was stopping him getting to this woman and her child. Like, he was getting through any obstacle that was in front of him. I think I also forgot to mention that this movie only occurs in one day, so there's that. While I'm talking shit about this movie, Russell Crowe actually did a really good job as this character in this movie. He really relished this role. You can tell, like, you know how somebody plays a role way too good? Like, I can actually believe that he would do some shit like this. If you pay attention to the movie, you can actually see there's like these themes that you see about what I mentioned earlier about society being fucking trash. Like what I mentioned earlier about him killing a man in front of like a bunch of people in a diner. Nobody called the police or anything. Everyone just pulled out their phones and started recording him, which I think is like an obvious, mantra of the movie. As I also mentioned earlier, there is no like good person in this movie. Like, everyone is just the worst in this movie. There literally was one guy that tried to help our main character, Rachel, get away from the man, and he immediately got ran over by the man and then got ran over by another car, and that's the last time we see of him throughout the entire movie. Like, he's not mentioned or nothing. Like, good things doesn't have the good people, I guess. I'm gonna keep talking about that scene where he kills the dude in the middle of the diner, because it made absolutely no sense to me, the way that people around reacted. And that's a common theme in this movie. Nobody helps anybody in this movie except that one guy. And I mentioned what happened to him when he did try to help. The man strictly got away with everything that he did in this movie because people around didn't do anything to help. And I found that extremely frustrating. If this movie was real life, it would have been over in like the first act. Back to Rachel, who's our main character. I couldn't connect with her at all because I don't feel like she's a good person in this movie. Like, a lot of the problems that she's having in this movie is based off her. Like, it's her fault that all this is happening. Her being late to school, her losing her job. We don't know if the divorce was, initiated by her husband, but I would guess that happened too, based on the movie and her as a person. When it comes to Russell's character, the premise of the movie doesn't make any sense because his whole thing is that he's been chewed up and spit out by society, but at the same time, people who go through that, they don't typically go out and start murdering and trying to kill people who honk at them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. maybe throughout the movie they didn't give enough context to the type of man that he is. The only thing we know about him is that, you know, he's divorced recently. He's on pills that we've seen him again in the movie. He's like this dude that's completely just run down. Look, I'm not a psychologist at all, but when somebody says that they've been chewed up and spit out by the system, they either take it out on that same system or they're usually suicidal. That's usually what I've seen. I could be wrong. I love how the title card for this movie is, "He can happen to anyone." No, he cannot. This movie takes itself way too seriously, which makes it hilarious. It's just like, it's trying too hard to be something and it's failing miserably, and the whole thing is just hilarious because of it. By the end of the movie, you just feel like completely empty and that you wasted your damn money just watching this. It's just like, you know, at the end of the movie, it's supposed to be like this big lesson that's learned, like everyone kumbayas over it, and that's like the lesson of the movie, you know. But at the end of it, only thing Rachel learned was, you know what, maybe I should be a more responsible parent. That's it. That's her whole synopsis on this whole thing that happened to her after all these people been killed. I don't know if you could tell by now, but I hate this fucking movie. If I had to rate it, I would give it a 2. Like, I really don't. I actually struggled to get through the movie. I didn't want to watch it anymore by the half of it. Do not recommend watching it, but if you want to torture yourself, go ahead. Actually, no, scratch that. You should watch it. I think you should watch it. I think you should watch it if you want something to laugh at. It's a very funny movie. It's one of those movies that are so bad that it's funny. And yeah, I think it's a good watch. It's a good watch if you are high and you want to laugh at something. Actually, I take everything back. If this was filmed in Texas, this is 100% realistic.